Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few podcast. I'm delighted to be able to announce that we're joined by a special guest today, Kasper Pedersbaek. He's a journalist over in Denmark. Do you just want to say to folk where folk can find you, Kasper?
Well, I'm doing my work primarily on Twitter, or X, if you like, that way now. There you can find me as the user Kasper Peters. And then there I will basically cover the Danish league. So if you have some interest in there, you can find me and find info about the Danish league there.
Magic, mate. As I said, thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Obviously, we're here to talk about the surprise transfer to most Rangers supporters of Mohamed Diomande. What is it you know about him in terms of his background, how he came to prominence?
Well, he's a classic FC Nordsjælland case as a player, developed through the academy. They have this setup with the academies in Africa, among others, and then from there they develop the players, and at some stage of their career they move them to Denmark and further develop them there, having the breakthrough in the Danish league. And as the recent case of Nuama, who was transferred to Lyon, Kudus to Ajax, among others. They having some great sales recently. Also, Andreas Schelderup to Benfica. So they have some big sales.
That's good. That's good. What type of player do you think Diomande is?
What kind of player he is?
Yeah.
He's a flexible midfielder. He can cover several positions. He can pretty easily slide in as also left wing back, left back if needed. It's not his primarily position, but he's a midfielder. He can work from box to box. He's a neat passer. It's not like he's not the kind of midfielder who take a lot of risk. He doesn't lose the ball quite often in the passing games, but his technical skills are good. He used to be last season a pretty decent goal scorer. He got to a lot of shots, a lot of chances, created a lot of XG. But this season he has stalled a little bit in that area of the play. He doesn't score that many goals, and also the reason why I see him, with all due respect to a club, obviously a big club like Rangers, he was seen to move to a bigger stage. If you ask me, for 2 years ago, but as I asked around FC Nordsjælland, they said they didn't get the transfer done when he was he was hot and running hot. So now, he has stalled a little bit, which maybe opened the markets for clubs like, not the top 5 clubs in Europe, but, clubs, a big club still, like Rangers. But yeah, if 1 year ago, he wasn't possible to get for Rangers, as I see it.
Is that just purely down to, has there been a big drop-off in form? Has there been a kind of stall in his development? Or
I don't think. I think it would be. It wouldn't be fair to say that he hasn't developed, because he's still a great player. He's a stable player in the Danish league. He played last spring and last season for FC Nordsjælland, who I think was around the winter break, was, I don't remember, it was 1 or 2 in the Danish league. He was part of that team who dominated the league, but got a little bit ill-fated by some transfers last winter that made them drop some positions and finish maybe, I don't know, I think it was 4th in the Danish league. So I think it would be harsh to say that he hasn't developed, right? It's more like, the transfer markets, it came with a hard judgment on 6 months where he didn't create the same amount of goals, didn't get to the same amount of shots, touches in the box like the year before. So still a great player, as I see it. And I definitely see that Rangers will be happy for him as long as they acknowledge that it isn't like Mohamed Kudus, who went to Ajax and then West Ham. It's not the Kudus you get. It's like, it's also a great player, but Diomande, but it's obviously not the Kudus transfer.
Yeah. Rangers' kind of financial background's been well documented the past couple of years, that we've got this player trading model that we need to buy players in at a relatively low price and then sell them on for a bigger fee. Obviously, we've had players like Calvin Bassey, Nathan Patterson, and Joe Aribo, who have all ended up in the English Premier League eventually. Is Mohamed Diomande somebody that you could see Rangers doing this with?
Yeah, he's only 22. He's turning 23 in October, so he's still a young guy. And for me, Rangers, they are buying. They are also buying potential. If you get me right, it's not like it's a finished player. He has to adjust to obviously a league like the Scottish. The pace is higher up there. He might have a little less time on the ball, but for me it's a better transfer than some of the other transfers I've seen Rangers do recent years, because he's young. He still has time to develop. He's still attractive to, like as you say, the English Premier League, for a bigger transfer there, because he's still like 22 and he can maybe develop for a couple of years and then still be in the early 20s before transfer. So I think it's a potential. Obviously there's no guarantees in football, but it's a potential good transfer with some long perspective and for a transfer fee to Rangers.
The Rangers squad just now, especially since Philip Clement came in as manager, Clement's highlighted the fact that the amount of injuries and stuff that he's had to take on since he came in. He's been kind of quoted in the media saying it's like piecing a puzzle together differently every week. Has Mohamed Diomande has he had any big injuries or anything like that in his career, or is he generally fit?
He has a strong physique. It's not a player that has been known for having a lot of injuries in Denmark. He might not seem that that big of a player physically, but he's a strong player, and he has a huge huge lungs. He can cover a lot of ground. He would fit best in as a box-to-box midfielder, maybe as a part of a double pivot, with the license of being the player who can drift forward and not being the holding midfielder. If you put him next to a player who has a more defensive capabilities of securing the ground in front of the defense, that would be great. I don't see him as a sole number 6, like the defender of the back. But he would be fit great as a part of a double PO, or maybe as the left-sided of a trio in the midfield.
So you don't see the physicality of the Scottish League being a problem for him?
No, for Diomande?
Yeah.
No. He's a hard hitter.
That's good to hear. Obviously he's came through the Rights to Dream Academy, and I think it's the Ivory Coast or Ghana. I think it's based. I think there's a few teams in the Danish league that has links like that. When did these links start to kind of come about in Denmark?
FC Nordsjælland was bought, I don't know how many years ago it was, by Tom Vernon. I think was it Manchester United he has been part of for years back. And from there they have developed this infrastructure with academies, and they've been really good at developing young players. So it's kind of like going to Nordsjælland. It's like buying a car from a car dealership who has a good reputation. The car has a certain standard. It can drive, it can move, it doesn't need a lot of repairs. You know what you get. It's like buying a player from Rangers, not from Rangers, from FC Nordsjælland. You kind of know what the basics are. They are schooled in a proper way. They are used to a lot of passing. They have good technical skills. So for me, it's a kind of stamp of approval to have been part of the Right to Dream Academy, going through the academy, and also having had so much game time for Nordsjælland as Diomande has. So it's kind of like, like it's a young, proven player who has reached a certain level where he doesn't, he has reached the ceiling in Denmark. So now he needs like a higher ceiling to develop further, and that's what I see he gets in Rangers before taking maybe a bigger step in the future.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be in the shop window when it comes to play for Rangers. There's no doubt about it. Just quickly, I'm going to ask you about. There's another player that different Rangers sources have been speaking about on Twitter, or X, as we should refer to it.
Yeah.
Alexander Lind.
Oh yeah.
He's been kind of touted as, because Rangers have got really, really badly bad injuries in the striking department just now, and he's been touted as somebody that we could potentially do a similar deal with. Do you think Lind could make the move to Ibrox, or do you think he would fulfill his potential, or kind of?
I think that regarding to Alexander Lind, there's two sides of the coin. One side is he has produced heavily, overproduced his goals in terms of expecting goals. It's like, he has a goal average like 0.80 per 90 minutes, and he has a XG on the half of it. It's not like he's a bad player, but he has had one half season with good play, and he finished the autumn season not that well, with a little bit of a scoring slump. And for me, I would be surprised if he moved to Rangers and immediately got a success, became a success. Again, it's not like he's a classical number 9 finisher. He doesn't produce much else. Set him up, he make his goals. It's not like he's a dribbler. It's not like he's creating chances. From the data sample size that I've seen, and also the games I've seen so far. But again, you have to have in mind he has barely played. He has only played like 6 months as a regular starter for the Danish team Silkeborg. So right now, I see him as he's a good finisher. He's a good striker. He's a good number 9. But I am at the moment doubtful that he is ready to take the step from Silkeborg here in Denmark to Rangers. It's a massive step for him, for a player like him. So I would be kind of surprised if Rangers made a move for him and picked him up already now. I would wait if they have ice in the stomach and to be patient. I would wait until the summer at least to see how he's developing. If is he still gonna keep on scoring the goals, or is he more like regressing to the mean over time this spring?
Yeah. See, just nipping back to Diomande before we wrap up, do you think Rangers would be paying a big fee for the player just now, and would he demand a big contract coming to Rangers?
If he's a bad contract?
But a big contract would they demand a big wage coming to Rangers?
I don't know. FC Nordsjælland, they aren't known for paying like huge salaries to the players. So maybe a huge salary for him isn't one for Rangers. But as I see it, it's a good contract for Rangers if they pick him up. I haven't heard about the transfer fee, what size of it. So maybe you can make me a little bit wiser at that point.
There's been nothing kind of suggested yet. I think what I've heard, it's between £1.5 to £2 million, but I don't know. It could be anything above that, really. That's what I've heard, but it could be above that, really.
I'd say it has the potential of being a bargain. If it's not more than that.
Yeah. I would imagine there would be some sort of sell-on fee and stuff inserted into the deal as well. Well, listen, Kasper, thank you for coming on. It was very insightful.
No problem.
that'll give the Rangers fans something to watch and get interested in you signing. Thank you for coming on, mate.
No problem. Have a great day over there.
You too. Thank you.